Today we're going to review the Acid Cold Infusion with Connecticut wrapper. It's a mild to medium cigar. The stick measures 6.7 inches long by a 44 ring size. I bought this one online for about $6. Prices in your area may vary. It's from the Gold line of the Drew Estate Acid Infused cigars. It smells very sweet, like a sugary sweetness and tobacco. Some people online have noted that it smells a bit like sweet tea, and you can certainly see the similarities between like a sweetened tea leaf and a sweetened tobacco leaf, but it is a mild-smelling cigar. I found that acids in general have a very consistent build and burn quality, so I expect this one to light easily and burn pretty sharp. It's been sitting in my humidor for a few weeks, and so it should be all ready to go. Let's take it out and see how it performs. The day outside's pretty fair, just a slight wind. I had no trouble lighting the cigar. It started pretty even, continued to burn that way for about 5 minutes. It did kind of start to have a little issue here or there with the burn, so it's not razor sharp, but it did correct itself pretty well. The last time I had a cold infusion cigar, as a few months ago, it was a really easy draw. However, this time it seems to be a medium to tight draw. I didn't have to double puff on it, but it took a little bit more effort to draw enough smoke for my liking. I tried to roll it around on my fingers to loosen it up a little bit. It did kind of help. My personal preference, I like a looser draw so that I can control it much easier with the smoke output and what I take in. And usually Drew Estate cigars are like that. They're easier to draw, they produce a great amount of smoke, so I was a little disappointed how this one started out with the amount it was putting out and how difficult it was to draw. I also had to touch up the cigar at least once with the lighter, which is really odd, because my normal experience with the Acid brand has been really positive, and usually I don't have to try to light it again. As you can see here in this picture, the ash stayed on very nicely, and it did correct itself once it got going again, but I did have that issue. This cigar has a sweetened tip. It's not overly sugary sweet, but it does have enough to where you notice it, it gives a nice taste on the lips, and it did last through the whole smoke. The ash fell off naturally about a quarter of the way in. The cigar is mild, but it does seem to have a consistent flavor. It tasted a bit of cream, a little mild tobacco flavor, I think even maybe a hint of cedar. There was a little bit of a dryness, but that's associated with cigars that have the Connecticut wrapper, and all in all, I knew going into it that it would be a mild and light cigar. Now this one did have a creamy smoke, and by that, I don't mean like the way the smoke looks, but the feel of it in your mouth. It had a good balance. It wasn't too dry, and it wasn't too oily, but it had that nice balance of being a creamy smoke. This picture here is about 30 minutes into the smoke. I did remove the band. It came off cleanly. I've had some other brands where you take off part of the wrapper when you try to remove them, so it's always nice when it doesn't tear anything of your cigar apart with the wrapper and ruin the way it smokes. Previously I have smoked a few acids, and I really like the brand. They're a lot of fun to smoke. But honestly, if this had been my very first cigar that I smoked of theirs, I don't think I would have been very impressed. This one is very average. I don't think I would recommend it. With my previous knowledge of the brand, I'll continue to buy acids. Apparently I just got a bad one. And really, I don't want to necessarily say it was bad. It was just average. There was nothing that stood out to me. There was nothing that was memorable about it. It's not what I was expecting to get from this specific cigar, especially since I have smoked it before and really liked it. Again, not bad, but disappointing when I compared it to the others I've had of theirs before. The cigar took just under an hour to smoke. The picture here is about 45 to 50 minutes through. I don't like a very hot cigar, so I don't let it burn all the way down. So with all that, what's the final analysis? If you're already a lover of the Acid line, and you haven't yet tried the cold infusion and like the sound of a mild cigar, well, it's certainly cheap enough to try a stick. If you're new to the acid line, but are still interested in the concept of an acid, I would suggest going with maybe a Blondie or a Cuba Cuba first to see if you like their infused cigars, and then experiment out from there. I do think it's good sometimes to try cigars out of the ones that you regularly smoke or have had before. There are many new brands every year, and they offer little differences between each other. Really, you should find a local store. Maybe ask them what cigars might fit your craving type. Or perhaps you're a person that likes to do research in magazines or online. Use different search terms to find the taste that you want to see in a cigar, and maybe you'll find your next favorite. I just got some new ones myself that are sitting in my humidor now, that are acclimating. They're a little bit different from what I've tried before, and I'll try to review them soon. If you want to know info about my humidor setup, what I use for my cigars, please check out my first video, which I'll either annotate or put down in the description. I hope you enjoyed the video. Feel free to leave any comments or suggestions about what you'd like to see next. And as always, thanks for watching.